What is going on, Z community? It's me, Azizz, and today we're gonna be talking about whether you should invest or pay off debt. Now, before we start this video, we have a word from our sponsor, Purell. Now, I'm just joking, they're not actually a sponsor, but you better make sure to hand sanitize before watching this video. Then after doing that, subscribe to this channel, like this video. But for real though, let's get started. Now, the most common question of our century is this exact question. Should you invest or should you pay off your debt first? I think it really comes down to evaluating your financial situation and then making a decision based off of that. To make a good final decision, I've created this little checklist that should hopefully push us within the right direction. The first thing on the checklist is that you should pay off your debt first if you fit the following criteria. If you have credit cards, personal line of credits, payday loans, you need to get rid of this debt as soon as possible. They, number one, have absurdly high interest rates, and number two, they do not serve you any purpose whatsoever. It's not making you money. In fact, it's actually taking money away from you because of how high these interest rates are. So if you have consumer loans, make sure that you pay off your debt first. When we talk about good loans, it's a very controversial topic because a lot of people consider different types of loans to be good loans. For example, some people may argue that having student loans are a good loan because it's an investment that will pay off in the future, and the same applies for car loans. That's why at the end of the day, I'm not going to define what is a good loan and what isn't a good loan. You can make that decision yourself. But when it comes down to these good loans, you don't necessarily have to pay these things off as soon as possible because they are much larger and they usually just have monthly payments. As long as you make these monthly payments, you should be fine. Just make sure that you don't miss out on any of these payments. The reason that you shouldn't be in a rush to pay off these types of loans is that their interest rates are much lower when compared to consumer loans. That's why with these types of payments, you'll have monthly payments that you have to pay. I would say just focus on paying the monthly and that's it. What type of savings do you want to establish? You want to establish the main two savings accounts: emergency funds and fast cash funds. Now, an emergency fund is pretty straightforward. It's just the amount of money that you have saved up that will cover a minimum of 3 months worth of expenses. Some people like to go the extra route of saving 6 months or even 9 months. It really depends on what your preference is and how tolerant you want to be to an emergency. The fast cash fund, on the other hand, is another type of savings account that you should have that will cover unexpected expenses that aren't necessarily an emergency. I know it kind of seems a little confusing, but we do have a video that talks about the fast cash fund in more detail if you want to check that out in the top right corner, which should pop up any minute now. There we go. And last but not least, you should invest in a situation that you are. Plot twist, you should always be investing no matter what the situation is. I know, but Tamer, what if I'm in a crippling debt cycle? Or what if I don't have an emergency fund or a fast cash fund yet? Well, it's okay. You have two different options that you could go about this, and it's really up to you to decide at the end of the day. Your two options are what I like to call the tunnel vision option and the splits option. I call it the tunnel vision option because you're really focused on just doing one thing at a time, and it gets things out of the way a lot faster. For example, if you have debt, but you have an emergency fund, but you want to invest, you want to make sure that you tunnel vision to pay off your debt as soon as possible so that you can allocate that same money towards investments. Another example is you not having any debt at all, which is a great thing, good job, but you don't have an emergency fund or a fast cash fund. With the tunnel vision method, you will focus all of your energy into building your emergency fund and your fast cash fund, and then you'll worry about investing later. If you don't know how much of an emergency fund that you should save up, make sure that you check the description below because I've put a link to a Google spreadsheet that you can calculate this easily. Now let's talk about the other method, which I like to call the splits method. Using the splits method, you are dividing your income into specific dedications. This tactic involves you taking percentages of your income and then diverting it into different things. For example, I get my income and I decide that I want to put 5% towards my investments every single time, and then the rest of it I want to pay off all my consumer debt. I really like this method because it gives you the power and it gives you the control as to where you want to put your money, rather than having to be forced to be like, oh man, here's my other paycheck, I gotta pay off all of it on my credit card. It offers you that versatility if you're the type of person who likes to think like that. Now, the caveat of using this tactic is that it will take you longer to do either one of these goals. It'll take you longer to pay off your debt, it'll take you longer to build up an emergency fund or a fast cash fund, and it might decrease the allocations you put towards your investments. But then again, this is where the good part of it comes. You are the one who decides where your percentages may be. This is the approach that I've started to take, and it really makes a difference because every single time that I get income, I allocate, 5% into investments, but I'm gonna allocate everything else to build up my emergency fund or to build up my fast cash fund, whatever the case may be. And then when I find myself in a situation where I have my emergency funds, I've paid off all my debt, then I can allocate all of my income, or at least a portion of it, towards my investments. I hope this gave you some more insight as to what step you should take next towards your financial freedom. But question of the day is, where are you with your money journey right now? Are you currently trying to pay off debt, building these different savings, or are you investing right now? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys. Anyways, Z community, thank you for watching. This is me, Azizz, signing out. Peace.